Hey, this is Daryl Lyons. I'm glad you're here to hang out with us for a few minutes as we talk about money, personal finance. And I'm the CEO and co-founder of Pax Financial Group. And this content comes to you from working with thousands of families over the years, kneecap to kneecap, with their money, just helping them make better money decisions. We do sincerely believe that if you can make prudent financial decisions, you'll live a more meaningful life. And so today's message is one that excites me, and I think you'll enjoy too the content. Today's guest is one of our advisors, David Alvarez. He's a certified financial planner, worked on Wall Street, and has come back to San Antonio. We're super happy to have him. So he is our guide, your guide over the next few minutes. Thank you for hanging out with us, David.
Thank you, Daryl.
All right, so let's jump into it. We'll do it in a top five countdown format. And the title of today's topic is a one that you don't think of very often, but top five money mistakes between spouses. And going in with number five, keeping your money mind a secret. What does that mean?
Yeah, so money mind is a term that we use when we think about how our clients think about money. And so when you have a married couple, one spouse is typically maybe more focused on managing the family budget, and one spouse is mainly focused more on spending it, right? So I know in our family, I'm the spreadsheet guy. So it's every family has a CFO, and there's no wrong or right money mind. The key thing is that you know what your money mind is. So you learn if you are more of a spur of the moment, seize the day type of money mind, or if you're more of a protection saver money mind. It's important that spouses know that, and that they talk about it, and that they communicate with each other, because any plan that they put in place will not work out unless they are aware of their tendencies.
Yeah, that's great. Hopefully that curtails some of the arguments that exist in, obviously money is one of the, they say, leading causes of divorces. So that that understanding of where people are coming from, oftentimes rooted in how they were raised with money, is a dialogue you wouldn't think would happen with a financial advisor, but it often happens with us. Going in the countdown format, number four, failing to think long-term. So tell me more about that.
We all have hopes and dreams, and as a financial planner, one of the first conversations we have with our clients is about those hopes and dreams. When do you want to retire? Do you want to buy a second home? Do you want to send your kids to college without leaving them with 6 figures of student loan debt? Do you want to start a business? Those are all long-term plans that we need to account for. And so most of those plans are not something that you can wake up one morning and just do. It's something that you have to think, okay, long-term, if I want to have a certain amount of money set up for retirement, for instance, I need to start doing that today. And how do I get there? And so for us, as a couple, you need to think about with your spouse, what are our long-term goals? You may be surprised, one spouse may want to retire tomorrow, and another spouse may want to work until they're in their 70s. And so, having that conversation about what a happy retirement looks like to you, to us, right? And so where do we want to live? Those are the types of questions that spouses really need to have, especially before they get into retirement.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's very good. Number three, not accomplishing short-term objectives. So that's different than what you just said, thinking long-term. What do you mean by not accomplishing short-term objectives?
Sure. So it's one thing to say, I want to retire by the time I'm 65. Okay, that's great. So how do we get there? Well, you have to save a certain amount of money every paycheck. You need to make sure that you're investing it appropriately. You need to make sure that you're not getting in debt that you can't handle. And so there are things in the short term that you can do to help you accomplish your long-term goals. And it's important that you accomplish those. It's the key execution part that will get you to your long-term objectives. So accomplishing your short-term goals will help you eventually get to whatever your long-term goal is.
Yeah, we call those at PAX oftentimes short-term sprints, right? Yeah, that's good. Okay, number 2, ignoring differences. Okay, so I need to unpack that more.
Absolutely. So, we talked a little bit about the money mind. And so knowing, how one spouse thinks about money and knowing, their background and how they were raised and how their families dealt with financial situations, it's important to understand that everybody's different.
Yeah,
And, like I said earlier, there's no right or wrong way to have a money mind. The worst thing you can do, though, is ignore those differences. And so being able to talk through every financial situation that you have and understanding where each of you is coming from will be helpful as you approach, your long-term objectives.
that's good. And then finally, number 1, the set it and forget it attitude to finances. So
Yes.
people do that a lot. Just, I mean, I'm, obviously in the financial business, but do you see people doing that a lot? Just set it and forget it?
Well, what I see a lot is, when folks meet with a financial planner, they get a book that goes on a shelf, and
Yeah.
maybe it's opened once, and over the long term, your situation is going to change. I don't know who had a global pandemic in their plans for 2020, but I know I didn't, and I know none of our clients did. And so we need to be constantly reviewing our financial plans as situations adjust. You may be thinking, I'd like to retire when I turn 60. And then, maybe a medical issue comes up and you realize, I need to keep working so I still have healthcare coverage until 65. That's just something that's a conversation that we need to have and spouses need to have with each other, because it's the trade-offs that we have to make in our financial life that will end up, making you a happier home life as well.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's good. Very good practical advice and guidance. So thank you, David. This was extremely helpful. I thought there were some good nuggets in there. A lot of behavioral finance is rooted in this conversation. So thank you for bringing that out and giving us awareness, because that stuff does impact our finances if we don't get on the same page. And so thank you. And you may have questions for David. Real easy, david@paxfg.com. David, thank you again for being with us. Always good stuff.
Thank you, Daryl.
Okay, continue to rest at a fast pace. See you guys soon. Bye-bye.